Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let us learn about one more AWS service, that is Batch. Now, if you want to run your application in containers, if you want to run your application or else code in containers, then is there any service in AWS where it can support me to run a certain code or series of code in containers? Then you can choose this batch. So if anybody asks you when do you use this batch, you use this batch to run your code in where? In containers. If you want to run your code in containers, then choose this batch. Okay, so what type of code we can able to run in this batch? We can run a code such as, let's say you want to analyze ML application, you want to analyze a large amount of data. So to analyze that large amount of data, you have to write some code, right? Yeah. So during that situation, to analyze big data, you use this AWS batch. Or else, if you want to run a series of jobs, or tasks, then you use this AWS batch. So when do we run the series of jobs or tasks, sir? If you want to process models, if you want to develop ML models, ML trained models, if you want to process ML trained models, or if you want to analyze big data, then you can choose this AWS batch. Okay, so when do we use this batch? We use this batch to run our code inside containers. Okay, yeah. So inside containers, which type of code do you run? You can run either Docker images, right? Either Docker images or shell script, or you can even run Linux script. So these are the scripts you can able to run inside your container. Under batch, inside your container, you can able to run these type of scripts: Docker images, Docker container images. In detail, if you want to say, Docker container images you can able to run, or shell script you can able to run, and Linux script you can able to run. So by using these scripts, how can I able to run an app? Let's say I have an application. Let's say I have my application in EC2 or Linux. Let's say I have my application in Linux EC2 instance. So my application is present at location. Under root directory, I have app folder. On that folder, I have app.py. This is my application. I want to run this application in containers. Sir, how can you able to run this application on containers? You can run this application on containers either by using any one of the scripting. That is, either you use Docker, either you can create Docker container image, or how do you can create Docker container image? By using Dockerfile, you can able to create. By using Dockerfile, you can able to create Docker image. By using Docker image, you can able to create container in this AWS batch. Okay. So if you want to create this container from shell script, by using, you write first shell script and then you execute in this batch will create this container. If you want to create this container by using this Linux script, then how can you create? You first return this Linux script and then you run the script in this batch, then container is generated. So what is this container, sir? What does this container will have? This container is nothing but it contains your application and whatever the OS that is required to run your application. Whatever the required OS that is needed to run your application and dependencies of your application will be present in this container. So since to run so what you're doing in this container, you're running your application and you're putting everything that is required for your application in a box, right? So to run your application, you're putting everything in a single in a box and your application in a box and your dependencies in a box to run your application. We call that box as container. So I hope you analyze that. So what is container? Content is nothing but a box, application and dependencies. So in this container, we are going to run our applications. Okay. So how the Docker file will be, sir? So to told what is the operating system that we need to use? Do we need to specify that in your Docker image, Docker file? Yes, of course. So from, let's say I want to use Linux Ubuntu 18.04 version. So then you can say Ubuntu 18.04. So in this way, you can specify what is the version. In the file, in the Docker file, you need to specify what is the OS that you need to run. So where do this Docker file get this image? Where do Docker file get this Ubuntu operating system? It will get from Docker Hub. Since whenever you are running your Docker image, so first you create this Docker file, then you run this Docker image, then you create this Docker image by running this Docker file on your Docker platform. Docker is a platform where it can provide you creating and managing your Docker files, and you can able to even run your containers in that platform. Docker is nothing but a platform. In that Docker, you created a Docker file. Let's say this is the Docker file. So whenever you run this, Docker image is created. So you can run that Docker image to create the container and run your application. In that container, your application will be ran. Okay. So whenever you're running this image, what happens? It first check for Ubuntu, right? So where do this Docker platform get this Ubuntu? Docker platform has baseline images. Already Docker platform has baseline images which are created in Docker Hub. So whenever you write a specific OS with version, then this Docker will pick that baseline operating system from the Docker Hub. So it just create that baseline operating system by using this image, by picking the particular operating system from the Docker Hub. Then it will create the base operating system of your container, right? Yes. This base operating system is created. Now let's say, now I want application, right? So for getting that application, you just need to copy your application where your application is present. Dot app dot in the dot in that root directory, I have app folder. On that I have my app. So just to copy that, you have a command called copy dot forward slash app. So by using this command, you can able to copy. And then to run your application, you just need to make your app inside this, right? Inside this container. You need to create this app inside this container, right? How can you able to make this app? So you have a command called make dot. You have a command called make space forward slash app. So it will make your app. So whenever you run, then only it will make. So you have to write like run make forward slash app. This will make your app. This will make your application inside what container. So now you have created your operating system by using this base, and you have copied your app from your Linux EC2 instance to your container. And now you have, if you want to install dependencies also, you can even install those dependencies in the same way. Now just I want to run the app. So by using Python code, I want to run the app. So for this, you first need to install your Python in your Linux operating system. Then you can able to run, right? Yeah. So for this, how to run your app in the Python. So in the command cmd, you can run your Python by using pyspace forward slash app forward slash app.py. Since your app is present in under app application, under your app folder, you have app.py, that is your application that you run in this way. So in some Python, platforms, it allows you for py, or else to run your Python code, you write Python. So this is the code which is present in Dockerfile. So under Dockerfile, you're having this code. So whenever you run this Dockerfile on your Docker platform, that will create you Docker image. So that will create you Docker image. Whenever you build and run this image, then this Docker container is created. How this Docker container is created? By using which OS? Based on the specified OS, it will pick that particular OS from the baseline operating system which is present in the Docker Hub, and then it will create that as base of your container. And then based on the application that you copy from your Linux instance, that application and their dependencies will be copied to your container. Now what the thing to run your application? You have everything, that is your application, operating system, and dependencies are present in your container. To run that application, you just need to write a command, that is in which IDE you run in Python. So you can run either py or else Python 3 based on your IDE. You can run your application by using this command. So now in this way it will run, right? Yes. So in this way, naturally, we can able to run our Docker files in containers by using the Docker platform. Now, how can we run? This by using batch? So first thing is first. Now you first need to create the Docker image, Docker container image, Docker container image. So first, what you need to do? You need to create Docker container image. So you first created the Docker container image and saved in some place somewhere. Okay. So for this batch, you have to told three things. Importantly, you need to told three things. First one is where you want to run this. In which compute environment you want to run this Docker file. So in which compute environment you want to run this container, you want to create this container. So to tell that, you need to tell the compute environment, right? Inside batch only, you are telling where you are running your application. So inside batch, you can even able to create clusters. So what is this cluster, sir? Cluster is nothing but a group of instances, or in specific you can say cluster is nothing but a group of compute resources. So in this compute resources only, right, you can run your container. Yes. So where do you run your container? Under this compute resources. So I want to mention one point that in Docker, you can run your container images inside Linux operating system. Under Linux operating system, your Docker container image will be run in Docker. Now in compute environment, now let's come back to our batch, AWS batch. Now you have to tell, right, where your container will run. So to tell that, you have compute environment that you need to select. So by using this compute environment, you can able to create cluster, that is group of compute resources. Let's say you want to process ML trained models or big data analysis, then you need a lot of compute resource, right? So for that, you require a group of compute resources. So you can create that group by using clusters. Okay, yes. So in this compute environment, you can have two options. So if you don't want to manage any infrastructure for this cluster, if you don't want to manage any infrastructure for creating this compute environment, then you can choose Fargate, AWS Fargate. So in this batch only, you have compute environment. Under that, you can choose either Fargate for what? If you don't want to manage your infrastructure. If you want whole control of your infrastructure, then you can choose AWS EC2. What you need to choose? AWS EC2. So whenever you choose AWS EC2, it will provide you a chance to configure your EC2 instance. What is the operating system? What is the operating system does it has, and how many minimum and maximum number of EC2 instance. Like that, you can have opportunity to configure your cluster is nothing but group of instances, right? So you need to configure how many EC2 instances, what is the minimum and maximum number of EC2 instances you want to put in this cluster, and what is the operating system that you want to maintain in this EC2 instance. That you can able to configure whenever you select your EC2 instance here. So if you don't want to maintain this EC2, then you can even able to choose this Fargate. There you don't want to maintain, you don't want to configure your instance, whatever the operating system, everything will be taken care by AWS here. So where your containers will run? Your containers will run in any one of the compute environment. You can have ability to choose any one, either Fargate or EC2. If you choose Fargate, then you don't need to take care of anything. You just need to provide your image to this container. This will be provided by AWS Batch. So that will be run in the Fargate by using the container service. So if you want to choose your infrastructure, if you want to have control over your infrastructure, then you can choose your EC2 instance. Then in that, you can able to create your cluster by using availability zone and minimum and maximum number of EC2 instances you want to create in the cluster. And you can have auto scaling group also in that cluster. You can able to create that cluster. Okay. So this is one thing. This is one parameter that you need to remember in the batch. And you need to remember. So this is the compute environment, right? Yes. So this is where your container will be ran inside, right? Yeah. Now in AWS batch, for AWS batch, you need to even specify what is the quantity of CPUs or storage capacity that you need for this EC2 instance or Fargate, right? So where do you specify that? You need to specify that in job parameters. Job parameters. So simply remember this job as nothing but code. So for that, job parameters, for performing that particular job, so in AWS batch, you need to provide the job parameters, that is capacity, how much capacity of compute resource, how much capacity of compute resource that you use to run your application, to run your job. So how much capacity, that also you need to specify, that is how much amount of storage you want, or else how much amount of quantity of CPUs that you want, that you need to specify. Now what are the things you specified in the batch? You specified the compute environment, that is where your container will run, and you specified how much amount of CPUs or how much quantity of CPUs or storage you want, that you have specified already. Now what application or what code do you run in the containers? You need to run the Docker image, right? So you need to specify the storage, right? You need to specify where your volume is present, or you need to specify the Docker image, right, to run this, to run the application which is present in your Docker image. Yes, so you need to specify that by using jobs. You have an option in batch where you want to specify jobs. What is the job? In the job, you need to specify where your Docker container image is there, and you need to specify Docker container image in this job, and you need to specify the thing, what is the compute environment that you want to use. So since you created a cluster, since you created a compute environment previously, you can able to select that compute environment, and you can even able to use the previously created job parameters here in this job, and that's it. Simply you can able to create in this way. You can able to create your batch in this way. Here, how many jobs you have created? You have created only one job. That is, in the job, you have created a Docker, you provided a single, let's say this is job one, right? So you provided your Docker container image, and for this, you provided the compute environment, either Fargate or EC2, and then you also specified how much capacity that you need to use this compute resource. This is one job. I want to run another Docker image. I want to run another Docker image. I want to run job 2 as well. I want to run similarly job 3 as well, like this. By specifying all these parameters, I want to run these many jobs. So how can I run? Sir, you told you can able to run series of jobs in batch. So how can you run? You can run by using job queues. So if you want to run multiple jobs, then you need to use this job queues as well. By using this job queues, what can I able to do, sir? By using this job queues, you can able to schedule your jobs. You can able to schedule your jobs until your jobs running, until your jobs running in your compute environment, where your jobs will be present. Your jobs will be present in this job queue only. In this job queue, you can able to even arrange the jobs based on your priority. Based on your priority, you can able to arrange the jobs also. So in similar fashion too, whenever you go for any shopping mall or else any theater, what they follow queue, right? Yes, they follow queue order. So in the similar way, so based on the jobs that you provided in the job queue, based on that queue only, these jobs will be worked. What are the first job that you provided in this job queue, that will run at first, then only second job will be executed. Let's say I provided, so first job 3 is provided, and job 1 is provided, and job 2 is provided. Then since you provided the first you provided job 3, right? So that job 3, first you provided job 3, then you provided job 1, then you provided job 2, let's say. So based on this order only, the job queue will run. First, it will run job 3, and then it will run job 1, and then it will run job 2, right? Yeah. So, sir, can I able to stop? That means, can I able to provide a break between these jobs? Yes. You can able to provide a break between these job queues. How, sir? How can I able to provide a break between these job queues? You can able to provide a break between these job queues by using reference points. So it is very important to know one more important point about this batch. So till now what you have learned where do you use this batch, that is in big data analysis or ML trained models. You can able to use this job. You can able to use this batch, or else if you want to process a series of jobs, series of code, nothing but series of jobs or tasks, series of jobs or tasks, you can use this batch, right? Yeah. So what type of codes you can able to run? You can able to run Docker images, shell scripts or Linux scripts, you can able to run. So I hope you've seen this, how it will be run using containers. What is container? That is nothing but a box where it contains all the dependencies, operating system and everything related to your application, and how the Docker file look like. And so how do we gonna create a job inside batch? You have seen that is by using compute. You need to select the compute environment where you want to run your job, and you need to provide the capacity parameters by using the job parameters, and you want to provide what is the job that you want to run, where your code will be in Docker container image, right? That you need to provide. And so if you have multiple jobs, then you need to use job queue, and you can able to run those in your required order by using this job queue arranging. Since this job queue will run in FIFO order, that is first in first out order. And one more important point is you need to know about whether this batch is regional or global. So why do we need to know, sir? Let's say I have created a job in a region, in a particular region. Let's say in Mumbai, I created a job. Where? In Mumbai. I have created my job in Mumbai region. Now, now I want to use, I want to create, let's say I have created my jobs in Mumbai region. Can I see that job in Hyderabad region? I opened my AWS console at Hyderabad region. Can I able to see that job in Hyderabad region? No, you cannot able to see that batch in Hyderabad region, because these AWS batch is availability zone level. That means you can able to see in any of the availability zones in a single region only. You can able to see this batch in any one of the availability zones in a single region. So this batch is regional level. Sorry, this batch is regional level. You can only see what are the availability zones which are present in a single region. This batch you can only see in single region only. You cannot able to see this batch in another region. So that's why we say it is regional. And this is availability zone level. It's not a global. It's a regional service. It's a regional service. You can able to see in a single region only this batch. If you created your batch in Hyderabad region, you cannot see it in Mumbai region. So if you want to use this batch in Mumbai region, you can create this batch in Mumbai region. If you want to see this batch in Hyderabad region, you can create your batch in Hyderabad region itself. So let's say, let's say you want to run your code, you want to run what are the application which is present in Hyderabad region, which is present in one of the EC2 instance. So you have an application which is present in EC2 instance, which is present in Hyderabad region. Now, let's say I created my batch at Mumbai region. I created my batch at Mumbai region. Can I able to run that application which is present in Hyderabad region EC2 instance? No. Since batch is present at different region, we cannot able to run that particular application in different regions batch. So I hope you understood the importance of this region. So this is all about batch. So in this batch, this batch is a regional level or global level? This batch is a regional level. You can able to see a particular batch in that created region only. You cannot able to see that batch in globally any region. But you can able to, since this batch is regional, can you able to see that batch in any of the availability zone level? Yes, you can able to see that batch in any availability zone level. So I hope you understood this video. You have a good knowledge on how to execute your batch workloads or how to execute your codes, series of codes or jobs or tasks in your containers by using this batch. So when do we use the batch? To run series of jobs or tasks. So in future, in next video, immediate next video, I will tell you about AWS ECS container registry. There also you can run your containers only, but you can run that containers for your web servers or application servers or other servers. So here, why you are using this batch? You have ECS, right? Why you need to prefer this batch? You can prefer this batch to configure very less. So here you're providing these three details to run your job. But in ECS, you have much more options to provide to create your Elastic Container Service and to run your container. So that's why to reduce that much effort, you can use this batch to run your task or job series of jobs. So if anybody asks you when do we use the ECS and when do we use batch, we use ECS for hosting. We use batch for processing. To process your data, you need to use this batch. To host your applications, you need to use ECS. So in next video, let us say about ECS. Until then, bye bye. Thanks for watching. See you back in the next video. Until then, bye bye. Thanks. If you like our video, if you feel our video is contentful, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. See you back in the next video. Until then, bye bye.